faster than a speeding typewriter, more powerful than a printing press, able to speak over tall buildings in a single sound. Look, up on the dial!
It's a conservative!
It's a liberal! It's Supermouth! Yes, it's Supermouth, strange visitor from the past with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal talk show hosts. Supermouth, who can change the course of local politics, bend ears with his bare mouth, and who, disguised as Mike Wiley, mild-mannered reporter for a great metropolitan radio show, fights a never-ending battle for truth, justice, and the American way.
Okay, good morning. It's Saturday at 10:45, and this show will broadcast tomorrow on Sunday as we have scheduled. I apologize for not being able to do a show last week, but I was under the weather for a couple of days with this IBS. And then, to make things even better, I got rear-ended Wednesday. Yes, some young girl was driving in her car, and for some reason, she couldn't see that there were 10 cars ahead of her that were stopped at the light. She just rammed into me. I mean, ram, bam. Oh, that is a shock to the system. This is an entertaining show. I'm not one of these podcasts you see where these people just want to stab yourself in the head or change the channel or move to the next blog, whatever it is, or video. I mean, it is quite ridiculous. But here's some good news. We did get the Wiley Information Network incorporated as an LLC. We had already done the Alliance of Free States. Now, let me explain the two. Okay? The Alliance of Free States is a non-profit organization. It's a 527S. That means it's a political organization for advocacy. Okay, for instance, in 1994, as a radio talk show host, I was an advocate for the Second Amendment, led the rally to defeat the Second Amendment, and then when I ran for Senate and actually was going to win, Hillary Clinton and the lying squad had to come down and lie about me, as they do. Okay, and lies are very big. Remember, we're attacked by lies all day long. We're going to talk about it. Oh, look, lies! Somebody wrote it on the board. Oh, you see, the global fascists versus the Alliance of Free American States, they want to control us. And they control us with lies. And how do you defeat lies? With the truth. But you have to be able to get the truth out. You have to be able to speak the truth so that people recognize what the truth really is. And we got a long way to go. Long way to go. But we're getting there. So that we can go ahead and present the advocacy of those things important to the United States. Basically freedom, the Constitution, which we know the Democrats totally ignore all the time. But that's okay. We know who these assholes are. We really do. Matter of fact, I'm going to introduce you to some of these assholes today. Okay? There's this woman named Hillary Clinton. She loves me. Then there's, what's her name? Plasky. She's this black woman they found in Virgin Islands. But I guess she passed the real super bitch test. And now she's in the Congress. But she can't vote. But she can sure spew shit. Okay? And what you're going to see is her attacking Jim Jordan because that's her job. Her job is not ranking member. Her job is to attack Jim Jordan. Why? You know why. We're going to discuss that. Okay? The Wiley Information Network is the network that produces this radio show, this video radio show. It's okay. We used to call it televised radio, but we're not really on television, but we are a video. We produce a video. It can be seen whenever you want to watch it. That's why we don't do a live show. Doing a live show means you have to be able to be available to see it or else you miss it. So we produce it. It goes up on the websites that we advertise on. And, like Rumble, which is where this usually is. We're working on getting Apple Podcast. We don't know if they'll allow me because You know, let's face it, I tell the truth. And I point out scumbags, and they don't like that. So we'll see what happens. We already know that that Twitter doesn't like me, because as soon as they decided to go to X, they got rid of Wiley. So, pardon me, but I need coffee this morning. This is the second cup, but I'm just, you know, I am 71 years old. I don't know if you realize that. I know, I look like 58, 60, that's what I'm told. Matter of fact, when the guy came out of the car to check me out after the accident, he says, so how are you feeling? And I go, well, do I look like I'm 71 years old? He says, no, you sure as hell don't. I go, well, then I must be feeling okay. It was a jolt. I took a jolt. And it's lingering, but I'm taking a little ibuprofen. I'm not supposed to take a lot of ibuprofen because it's not good for the kidneys. But I manage. It's not like I haven't had pain before. And what really pains me is what's going on with my country, and I can't stand for it. So the Wiley Information Network is not only producing this show, but we are going to offer our campaign management services and spokesperson services. I have got like a 16-year history in politics, you know, and I didn't, you know, sometimes you don't realize the things that you do over time. And then one day I was looking through my book. I have a big binder book of all my political activities in the newspaper articles. And I started going through them, and I went, oh, wow, I forgot about that. Oh, wow. Oh, look, here it is. It says that Mike Wiley talks about his America First agenda. That's 1994. I was America First 22 years before Trump. So if I know what Trump's all about, because I'm America First, and then Buchanan was America First as well, and I was on his campaign. So I start reading this stuff. I'm going, you know, there's a lot to this that I know, and I should help. I'm not running for a candidate anymore, but if I could get 10 Mike Wileys in the Congress of the United States, that would be great. And I've got a list of 30 that I want to replace. There's 8 Democrats. You may know them as the Squad terrorist scumbags. And then there's 22 Republican Rhino Manchurians. I'm sure we're going to investigate these guys. You know, understand something. For 30 years, I've done pro se law. Okay, I've been involved in court cases. I've won most of them. I've actually never lost any of them. I've had one dismissed because I was attacking Yelp, and the Obama federal judge in Rhode Island was like, no, we can't do that. Sorry. They're one of our, you know, holy places. What is that? Hold on a second. Okay, I'm back. I have no idea what the hell that was. I just had to start closing stuff down. Maybe it's an FBI warning that the FBI is coming to get me today or something. Who knows? Who knows? Here we go again. There's something not right. Got to stop it for a second. All right, that's strange. I don't know. Maybe it's some warning because I'm going to run out of gigabytes. Probably. Maybe it's some kind of warning thing. Or else the government's decided they're going to start blocking my broadcasts, even though I'm not even broadcasting. I'm in my own home. They don't want to start that shit with me. Anyway, so where were we? Oh, yeah, when we last spoke. Hold on, coffee take. So this is a video radio show. Why do I call it this way instead of a podcast? Because I'm not a podcast guy. I didn't do televised television news where you go, or I interview somebody because I don't know shit, but they know something. I'm going to ask them some questions, you know. That's most of these things. They're interview things. That's what these people are comfortable doing. But, like, and I won't call him my mentor because I didn't know about him until after someone called me when I started radio and says, hey, you sound like Rush Limbaugh. But me and Rush were on the same wavelength on how to present the truth, how to help people understand how to stand up for America. I sure do miss him. When I was taken off the air by the Queen bitch Hillary in 1995, there was only one person on the air that was sounding like me and talking like me and speaking brave like me, and that was Rush Limbaugh. And when we lost him, then we had nobody back on the air, and maybe that's why I've been thinking about getting back on the air. Of course, I can't go back on radio because the FCC of the Clintons is the FCCs of the Biden, and they wouldn't allow me on. You know, they would just say, "Hey, keep this guy in the air, and you're going to lose your license." You know, and that's it. But here I can do all the podcasts I want to. So let's get to the show. We've had enough interruption. And there's quite a bit to discuss, but I was trying to explain to you about the Wiley Information Network and what we're going to do. And we're going to begin issuing press releases of our intentions of what we're doing. The purpose of a press release is to get out what we're going to do to a public that doesn't know me or may know me or whatever. But the press release is to be released out into the media so that we can get, you know, when you market, you have to market to different avenues. I'm marketing to people on Rumble. I'm marketing to people on Facebook, Truth Social, and Getter. I've just hired 2 people to not only design, but also to work on building the advertising concept so we can raise money for the nonprofit. Because there's going to be some candidates I'm going to find that aren't going to be able to talk as well as I could. I mean, I ran a U.S. Senate campaign on only $15,000. I mean, I had 25, but I had to put $10,000 up just to sign into the ballot. The purpose for that was to make sure that only wealthy people ran for office. Okay, that's part of the game that we're stuck in. Before I get into the show here, because I got a lot to cover, and I'm going to go here and there, make sure I got everything. But I'm very disappointed in what they did to Jim Jordan. I'm not surprised. I was actually surprised that they did what they did. But understand, our enemies like to say, "Okay, come on, you want the cookie? You want the cookie, Mike? Come on, Mike, here, get the cookie." "No, you can't have the cookie, Mike. Evil witch." We're being teased. Okay, now, I'm sure once they're belted into electric chairs and we have the microphone and go, "Hey, do you want to have any last words? What are you going to say before we toast your ass?" Remember, these people are criminals. They're committing crimes. They're violating everything the Constitution says they shouldn't do. They don't give a shit. They think they can get away with it. Wait till you hear these assholes I'm going to put on, okay? One is Hakeem Jeffries. Oh, I'm sorry. One is Hakeem Jeffries. And he will take this too. This asshole can't talk without his hands. I don't know. Does he think he's Barack Obama or something? So this is what we're going to do, and this and that. And I can't stand watching him. He's such an idiot. Look him up. Look up his political page on the Congress. Okay, there's 2 things he's up for: is A, helping people get federal money, which is what Democrats do. Democrats spend money. You get elected by spending money, as long as it is, but it's our money. Okay, other people are voting for them to spend our money, and that shit's got to stop. And I don't think it's going to stop until we say, "All right, you get," pardon this expression, "you get the fuck over there and stay there. Stay out of our country," okay? Stay out of our country. Matter of fact, you're going to see a map. I was going to print it out to show you here, but you'll see it in the video because I'm going to pop it up on the video while we're talking. And you'll see it's the 2022 congressional elections, and you'll see that there's maybe enough blue space to cover 10 states. So why are we subservient to these assholes? Why are they in charge? Well, You know, there was this great, Tucker Carlson had this guy on, Elliot Evison or something, I can't remember his name. And he basically tells it the way it is on how the Democratic Party treats black men. And they also expose the fact that everybody did know that George Floyd was not murdered. He died of fentanyl overdose. And that was understood. The medical people in Minnesota already knew that. The government of Minnesota knew that. And yet they still put that police officer away for 40 years. Okay. And the Democrats and BLM and Antifa used it to help part of the election fraud of 2020. That shit's not going away till the buzzer goes off on the electric chair. I'm telling you, we're not dropping that shit. They have to kill me first, but I'm not dropping that shit. Okay, it's a crime. They committed a crime. Look how we have suffered these past 3 years because the Democrats didn't want another 4 years of Donald Trump, even though a lot of Americans did. Now, I'm going to jump to this part before I get to my opening, but we got a couple of situations. There's a Trump campaign dismisses criticism over former president's Hezbollah remarks. Okay, now, Donald Trump speaks the truth. Okay, he's been that way for years. He understands the truth and what to say and how you say it and how you present it. But the enemies of the nation, and I hate to say that I'm going to come up with the name of a Republican who attacked him for the comments, we know is bullshit. We know it's absolute bullshit. He made a comment that Hezbollah was pretty smart, okay? And he commented that one of the Israeli military people made a comment in public about the fact that they were concerned that Hezbollah would start attacking. Now, either A, they said that so they could get Hezbollah to attacking, or they really meant it. And Trump was hitting on the fact that they should have never said that. Never tell your enemy what you're going to do. That's a Trump deal. He's always been that way. So the Trump campaign said critics have taken the former president's recent remarks on the Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah out of context. They've never done that before with Donald Trump, have they? Oh yeah, they kind of did in Virginia, you know, when you had those racists getting together, and then you had the pro-American people that weren't racist participating, and he made a comment about the two groups, and then everybody just fried him on what he said, okay? Because, you know, while Trump doesn't lie, they have to make you believe he's a liar. They have to make you believe he's a criminal. This whole lawsuit going on in New York, that's a crime against the American people. You can't take somebody's business away from him and steal all his assets. But understand, I want you to go onto YouTube and type in, or I guess you can go on X and look up Tucker Carlson and the interview he just did with this black gentleman who's going to let you have it. He's going to tell you the way it is. And we kind of have been seeing that because we're seeing a lot of black men coming out of the woodwork supporting Trump because they understand Trump and they know what Trump tried to do for them, okay? The Democrats are trying to hold on as possible to the black community and keep them in slavery. And as this guy says, you got to listen to it. He's spot on. I've been saying it for quite a while that that's what the Democrats are all about, and they still are. But they recognize that in order to keep the black community somewhat together on their side, they have to hire black females who have no problem lying, like Fannie Willis and Letitia James, and attacking the evil white man, Mr. Trump, okay? And we've got this Plaskin woman from Virgin Islands. You're going to hear her. What a piece of garbage she is. She doesn't belong in the Congress of the United States. She can't vote. Why do they have her there? Well, you see, the Democrats like to show that we have lots of black people. See, we Democrats, we love black people, except the ones that want freedom. Those people are demented. We got to get rid of them. This shit's been going on. So now, what do I find here? Okay, anybody hear of a guy named Ron DeSantis? Ron DeSantis' campaign has since fired back at the Trump campaign over its statement. This is disturbing, okay? This tells you who's running the DeSantis campaign. And maybe DeSantis doesn't even know what's going on in this campaign. It's possible. Because he's running like a chicken with his head cut off, trying to run a state, and it's going down the toilet thanks to the insurance companies. No matter what rhetorical gymnastics act his campaign team tries to perform to attempt to once again cover for him, nobody can change the fact that last night Donald Trump showed his true colors by insulting Israelis during one of their darkest hours and simultaneously complimenting one of the terrorist groups that continue to pose a grave threat to Israelis and Americans alike, said Andrew Romeo, stupid asshole, communications director for the DeSantis campaign in the statement. It's disturbing and disqualifying. Hey, Andrew, what were your comments when Trump moved the American embassy to Jerusalem and built it there? What were your comments then, asshole? Huh? Don't lie in front of me, okay? I'm going to shove it so far up your ass. And let me tell you something. I was good at doing that in debates. That was my strength. I would take something stupid somebody said, and I'd wait for the right moment because I knew they'd open up their mouth and say something stupid, and then you take it and you shove it right up their ass. That's how you fight politics, with liars. Liars. Lies, lies, lies. Everything's a lie. It's all a lie. Everything the Democrats stand for is a lie. You may think that once in a while they're American. No, they're not. They're owned by the Chinese, the Marxists. Got a little squad group going with their own army that they're importing. By the way, Andrew Romeo, what was your comments? Were they disturbing and disqualifying when Mr. Trump acknowledged that the Golan Heights is now part of Israel? Huh? Shall we stop for a moment? Let's just stop for a moment, okay, since we're on the subject, and let's show you this. Now, I'm showing this to you now because I'm talking about it now, but I'm going to have this will show up in the video. You'll notice that Israel was much bigger when it was Israel. Yet, for some reason, when the British decided to measure things around, they decided to steal some land from the Israelis, okay? Historically known as Samaria and Judea, okay? Matter of fact, you can see Samaria is the capital. Now, why didn't the Israelis get all their original land? Oh, because Israel's not a real country. Right, Talib? Israel's an apartheid country because I say so. So while we stand here, these are the 8 progressive terrorists I'm going to try to defeat. Whether I have to try to defeat them in the Democratic primary or in the general election. Now, the problem is that usually the biggest assholes in the Democratic Party are in districts that they'll never get out of. You ever hear a guy named Adam Schiff? Yeah. You think he'd ever lose an election? No. How about Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ivana Presley, Rashida Tlaib, Jamal Bowman, the Democratic Socialist of America, Cori Bush, #1 bitch, Greg Kazar, and Summer Lee. Okay, she's another beauty. There they are. How do we get rid of people that are in protective territories? The only way to get rid of them is to get rid of the territory. Make those districts no longer part of the United States. You'll see them on that map that's all red except for these blue sections. Every one of them blue sections grows one of these assholes. That's what we have to fight. We have to fight these people tooth and nail. Now, we know there's a lot of chicken shit white male Republicans that are, I'm too afraid to say anything. They may call me a racist. My goodness. These Democrats are so open to getting pounded, you can't believe it. But we have to have people willing to pound them. Now, I got to say something, but I am quite disappointed with John James. John James ran for the U.S. Senate in 2020. Unfortunately, he lost his campaign because he was in the state of Michigan, which committed election fraud, not only to make sure Trump didn't win, but to also make sure he didn't win. Just like they did in Georgia, just like they did in Arizona. The Democrats targeted 4 U.S. Senate races, 2 in Georgia, 1 in Michigan, and 1 in Arizona. And the only way to do that was to make sure they stole the election for Biden. Okay? Someday, someone's going to get in there and prove that shit. I don't have the time to go into Arizona and try to get all their election records. Carrie Lake's been kind of doing that. But I don't know. She doesn't seem to be getting where it's supposed to be. So last point, Israel's apartheid against Palestinians, a cruel system of domination and a crime against humanity. Who wrote this shit? Who wrote this shit? Huh? Oh, Amnesty International.
Yeah, they tell the truth, don't they, Mike?
The comprehensive report, Israel's apartheid against Palestinians. Cruel system of domination and crime against humanity. You mean Hamas? Is that what you meant to say, Hamas? Because I don't think it's the Israelis trying to keep the Palestinians in targeting for bombs and missiles like Hamas is. It's all lies. It's all bullshit. But they know that you need to run bullshit over and over and over and over and over and over, because if you repeat a lie long enough, dumb people are going to believe it. Dumb, stupid, ignorant people. And unfortunately, quite a few of them vote in office. Okay, so while we're putting all this stuff together, I came up with the title of this show. You know, we've been doing this for a year. You know, we had the America's Court of Public Opinion, because I was looking at it from a legal standpoint, because someone needs to present the law the way it should be. We got some people that should be doing it, but they don't. I'm not going to say who they are, but I've written to them about it. So I finally came up with The World This Week with Mike Wiley, www. The World This Week with Mike Wiley. Because we're doing a weekly show. I have no intention of doing this 4 or 5 days a week. Number one, I don't want to. I don't think people need to listen to me 14, 15 hours on video. They would get tired of it after about 2 hours. That's why we only do this once a week. And we comment on the things that are important, because we're trying to educate you. Hello? McFly, anything upstairs? The World This Week with Mike Wiley. Now, I've typed this up because I want to make sure I say it correctly. And, you know, after being slam-bammed on Wednesday in a car accident, I'm a little shaky. In Washington, D.C., Hamas progressive terrorists vote support for Middle East slaughter of unarmed men, women, and children, while Obama's Marxist puppet Joe Biden combines Ukraine war with Middle East war and offers funding to all sides, including Iran. The Chinese Mandarin puppets are acting in the best interest of their Marxist Manchurian overlords to guarantee 500 years of Ukrainian coal and iron ores. We've already done this show. I already explained to you the reason why we're in Ukraine. We're in Ukraine because China wants us in Ukraine, okay? And that order came down in 2013 and 2014 when Obama met with Xi and he agreed to turn over Afghanistan to China. That was already decided 7 years before the re-election of Donald Trump. The Chinese Mandarin puppets are acting as the best interest of their Marxist Manchurian overlords to guarantee 500 years of Ukrainian coal and iron ores, 60 billion of illegal Iranian oil sales to China. Okay, we have the strategic oil reserve. It's down to almost nothing. Why? Because asshole decided to sell oil from our strategic reserve and send it to China, our enemy.
Joe, there's an electric chair waiting for you.
He won't make it to the electric chair. The insurrection of November 4th, 2020, that's the day, that's actually 1201. Because you see, Donald Trump was going to be reelected president of the United States as of the voting on November 3rd, 2020. And then from 12:01 a.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning, enough votes came in via truck, via whatever, to defeat Trump. They even had it set up so that they could put more votes in as they wanted to for several weeks. Understand, there was not an election fraud. There was an election theft. Okay, the theft was performed by committing fraud in law, in legal, Secretary of State's, all that shit. We've already covered it. If you want to know more about the election fraud, look up my old shows on Rumble. The insurrection of November 4th, 2020 has led to all of this disaster while murdering 1 million Americans with the Chinese virus. They can't get around that. And allowing a 5 million man illegal immigrant army to cross the unprotected south border. Now you'll see the ad for The World This Week with Mike Wiley, and you're going to see these immigrants. Then they're coming to the United States. And a guy put the picture on Facebook, and he said, notice there aren't any women in it. I noticed something different. You ever see these people that are coming into the border, they're coming to the United States? They're all over the place. These guys were marching. These guys were marching as if they were already in the army. We've already been told a good chunk of them are Iranians and Chinese, military men of the 25 to 27-year-old age. Barack Obama and his puppet Joe are sending in a military to come after us because they know the U.S. military will not attack armed Americans. But these assholes will, okay? There's going to be a shooting war, okay? They're anticipating it. They're going to squeeze our nuts until we finally say, that's it. And then it begins. We don't want to go to a shooting war. So I'm trying to avoid that, okay? Back in 1774, our country came up with, and it actually wasn't our country, it was a group of citizens from Massachusetts who didn't like the way things were going, and the British government controlled the Massachusetts state government, even though Massachusetts wasn't a state then, it was a colony. Let me just read this to you. As with the other counties' resolves, the Suffolk document denounced the intolerable acts or coercive acts which had recently been passed by the British Parliament and specifically resolved the following. They will boycott British imports, curtail exports, and refuse to use British products. I'm going to guess that Britain was considered the enemy back in 1774. Pay no obedience to the Massachusetts Government Act or the Boston Port Bill. Demand resignations for those appointed to positions under the Massachusetts Government Act. In other words, the royal family's people. Refuse payment of taxes until the Massachusetts Government Act was repealed. Support a colonial government Massachusetts free of royal authority until the intolerable acts were repealed. In other words, if they can't get an honest government, then they'll create an honest government. Get the picture? Do you think we have an honest government now? Really? What did we just watch these last couple of days, what they did to Jim Jordan? That shit was done on purpose. I'm telling you. I even got sucked in. I'm watching Kevin McCarthy, and he's making this great speech. He's making this great speech about him and Jim Jordan. Blah, 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 blah. And I thought that this was it. Jim Jordan was going to elect it. Instead, no, he lost more votes. Which means McCarthy knew he wasn't going to get those votes. But McCarthy was just taking the knife out and stabbing it into our back even more. He's a piece of shit. Secret piece of shit. SPS, secret piece of shit. Number 6, urge the colonies to raise a militia. Mike, you mean guys with guns? Yeah, guys with guns and women with guns of their own people. Hey, that sounds like the Second Amendment. Yes, yes. And these resolves were delivered by Paul Revere to the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The counties decided to start their own government. Now, before I go to the second half of this, I'm going to jump back here just to reiterate some things. In an attempt to eliminate extremist MAGA forces and their lead presidential candidate, Donald Trump, the combined forces of Marxist progressives led by Hakeem the hand-waving brain-dead, a.k.a. Obama II, have once again played American MAGA Republicans as fools with the Jim Jordan ambush. That's what we watched. We watched them destroy one of the greatest Americans in American history, Jim Jordan. And the American people know it. A good portion of American people know that. Led by Kevin McCarthy, who led the demise of Jim Jordan by nominating him in a wonderful speech, knowing full well that he was not going to get the votes. That's what a piece of shit Kevin McCarthy is. Okay? I'm going to stop. Who the hell is Matt Gaetz? Well, I think Matt Gaetz is one of these guys from 1774, a son of liberty, who has had enough. I'm a son of liberty. I was born in Boston. The Revolutionary War flows through my blood, and so does the next one. Or shall I say, the last one. Gaetz saw what was going on, and he knew the only thing to do was toss a bomb into it and get it to this stage. Okay? What happens next is going to depend on the American people, because the American people need to rise up now and decide if they're supporting Jim Jordan. They need to let everybody know. Okay? You know, there was a movie called The Wind and the Lion, one of my favorite movies, with Sean Connery as the Razuli in Libya. And I forget his name, Kevin something played, Keith, what's his name, played President Roosevelt. And it was a time when America was starting to get stronger and militarily, and President Roosevelt says he wants Petticoatis, that was the woman's name, Petticoatis free or Razuli dead. Okay, so I'm coming up with this one. Jim Jordan, yes, or Congress, no. I think we're at a state in this country where we are afraid. We are afraid to look at the truth. We are afraid to look at the facts. The facts of the case are that the Congress of the United States, after passing the 1913 Screw America Act, the 16th Amendment giving us a tax, which we're not supposed to have, that's illegal, and the 17th Amendment removing the Senate from the state's control and giving it to the wealthy industrial elitist pigs, that killed the republic. We have not been a republic since 1913. 110 years. 110 years. And in those 110 years, the Congress of the United States, for whatever reason, whatever war they wanted to fight in, $90 trillion came out of us. $90 trillion. What would your life be? What would your life be if the income tax was a flat 2%? Flat 2%. Do you know that back in 2010, I was doing a radio show, and in the radio show, I was doing this bit about the census, because I wasn't filing the census, even though they say you have to respond. I responded by tearing it up on radio, okay? Because I file a tax return, they've got that information. But the 2010 census clearly stated that if there's illegal immigrants living in your house, you need to put them down so we can count them for money to go to your district. That's how the blue states work. That's how they steal money from the government every frickin' year. Because they take these 5 million illegals, they're going to stack them away somewhere, put them in, get them registered to vote, everything, driver's license, so they can steal elections year after year. Okay, we're in a lose situation. We're going to lose. We're going to lose this country. I can guarantee it. We're going to lose the country until 10 million, I call it the 10 mil, the 10 million militia come out of the woodwork. And I'm not saying to shoot. I'm saying be seen. I'm saying be seen. Now, I'm going to finish this up and then I'm going to get to the Concord resolves that I came up with. American patriot leaders are being taken out one by one. Jordan would have placed most Democrats in electric chairs as Speaker of the House, while Trump was busy destroying their Marxist and fascist allies, trained on destroying the American home of the brave. Jordan was going after Biden. All of them were going after Biden. Jim Jordan was very effective. That's why they hired the fake congressional person from the Virgin Islands, one of the black bitches. I'm going to use the term black bitches because that's what they do. The Democrats use people like they're nothing. Okay, they take someone's humanity away from them and give them an assignment to turn them into an asshole. Okay, and they specifically do it to black women because they're trying to hold on to the black community as good slaves. That's what they're trying to do. And if you turn on YouTube or X and you see Tucker Carlson's latest show, listen to the black man speaking, because what he's going to do is tell you exactly what I've been saying for I don't know how many years. Okay? I'm a lunatic because I speak the truth and people think,
Come on, Mike, it can't really be that way.
well, this guy said exactly what I've been saying. Exactly. And that's why I put it out this morning on Facebook, Truth Social, and Getter. I wanted everybody to see this, okay? Because a lot of people on Facebook, we're seeing it. We're seeing that most black men that are on my Facebook, in my Facebook group, have their own businesses. Whether they're engineers or truck drivers or whatever, 2 or 3 of them are truck drivers. A lot of them served in the military. But they're all Trumpsters because they understand freedom. You know, Shelby, what was his name? Shelby, I can't remember Shelby's last name. It'll come to me. He came out and he made a comment on TV that the biggest problem black people are going to have is freedom. Well, it was kind of strange to hear him say that. But what he was saying is that black people don't know freedom. They don't know how to act in freedom. And when you listen to this guy with Tucker, I forget his name, Everett something, he speaks the fact that he's free and why he's free. Okay? He's very compelling. Everything he says is spot on. And that's probably why I bet you that show won't be on long. I bet it's going to be taken off YouTube and they're going to ban it. Once the Democrats see what this guy says, they're not going to want everybody in the world to see it. So you better hurry and get your copy. And get your copy now. But Shelby said that the toughest part that black people are going to have trouble with is freedom. Because they don't know how to act with freedom. They don't understand that they're free. No one has chains on them. They can do whatever the hell they want. They just have to stand up and be called on to be free. And this guy goes ahead and says it exactly the way. You need to, you know, I've been saying for quite a while, I've been saying it since 2006. In 2006, I wrote my book, The Diary of Hillary's Right-Wing Conspirator. And I was up at the CPAC convention in Washington, D.C. in 2006. Matter of fact, there's a video of me in my interview with C-SPAN, I believe it is. You can find it. It's in C-SPAN, where I talk about the book. And while I was there, I was taking a break, and I was sitting out in the center hallway, or, you know, I don't know what they call those rooms where everybody gathers in the hotel. and there was about 4 or 5 black people talking, and I recognized one of them, and I went up and introduced myself, and I ended up joining the Black Republicans. Even though I'm white, I joined the Black Republicans because I believed that if you look at history, when you see, there's a picture that shows that the first 28 black men that were in the Congress of the United States were Republicans. The Republican Party was their party. The Republican Party fell down on asleep while the Democrats worked to steal black people and inject them with welfare and get them addicted to it and turn them into slaves in cities around the country. And those are those blue spots you see on the red map that we've already showed you. You haven't seen it yet, but when you see this video, you would have seen it. I would have played it. The truth is there. It's so obvious. You just got to grow a pair. I went out the other day, and I says, okay, time to get some more ammo. I probably will never even use that ammo, but it's not bad to have 4 more mags of AR-15 weaponry bullets, and I bought another 200 rounds for my 9mm, the left-handed and the right-handed one. Just in case. Just in case. So, to finish off what I was starting here, Americans like myself have been busy stocking up on more ammo with the knowledge that the 5 million immigrant army will do battle with the 10 mil, the 10 million man militia. That's why they're here. Barack Obama didn't just want to, pardon this expression, fuck America. He wanted to take it over for his masters, the Manchurians. Americans have watched while supposed pro-American Republicans kneel to their progressive allies masquerading as Democrats, like they did 110 years ago when passing the 16th and 17th Amendments that are still illegal, putting an end to the American Republic and placing it at the feet of the global fascist empire. Where's most of American money go? It goes into the hands of Democrats, into the hands of federal government, or to other countries. And it comes from us. Can you imagine if you had an extra $5,000 a year in your pocket instead of it going to the federal government? May even be more. Depends on what your taxes are. Last week, the Wiley Information Network LLC and the Alliance of Free States LLC presented on this show the Concord Resolves 2023 to initiate the same actions taken by the first patriots known as the Sons of Liberty with the Suffolk Resolves of 1774. Okay, the Concord Resolves. I read to you the Suffolk Resolves because it's my opinion that if it worked the first time, it'll work again. If the counties decide to be free, their state or their area will be free. Every county has a sheriff. Every county has a judge. Every county has a police force or a sheriff's police force. It can be done, but you have to do something about it. That's why seems like I waste my time sometimes saying this stuff to you because I'm not getting a response from you, probably because you're chicken shit or you're lazy. One of the two. One of the two. So why do I call this the Concord Resolves? And what I'm saying is that American action without firing a shot. The 10-year Concord Resolves for 2025. Okay, the reason why I say 2025 is because on April 1st, 2025, hopefully, we have a Republican president and a Republican Congress, pro-American Republican Congress, not the Manchurians, because we're going to work on getting rid of them. That's part of my other stuff I'm working on, is to get rid of 30 people out of Congress. So this is what I say. We, the people of the free and independent counties of America, recognize that the constitutional republic of these United States has been corrupted far too long. And to prevent the corrective action of open rebellion, do hereby choose to implement the following resolves for a 10-year period beginning April 1st, 2025. So what I'm saying is, Let's give our country and our American people 10 years to recover from the shit we've been putting up with. Okay? If you think about it, probably 80% of the U.S. debt, which would be about $24 trillion, has been spent in the past 30 years, mostly through Democrats and, of course, the Bush War. Now, why do I call it the Concord Resolves? Okay, everyone's heard of Lexington and Concord. In Massachusetts, there's this holiday called Patriots' Day, but for some reason, the rest of the country doesn't want to celebrate the day we began our fight for freedom. I guess that doesn't matter, but we can have a national holiday called Juneteenth because in 1865 or 1867, I think it was, black people in Texas found out that they were free. The rest of the country knew they were free, but they didn't. So this little group of people are going to be somehow used as a national holiday. And all it is once it's like when the Democrats got dressed up in African garb and they were kneeling to show that their obedience to, like as if like the black people are their masters, when in fact they're black people's masters. They just don't know it. But the Democrats know it. The Democrats know exactly what they do, and they've been doing it. Concord. Lexington and Concord. The British came over in boats, landed over in the shores, and started marching to Concord. Their goal was to get our ammunition, our guns and our ammunition, our shot and our powder. And when the word came that the British were coming, the people in Lexington, there weren't that many of them, but there was I believe it was about 80 of them, took the field to stand up against the British to slow them down. It was basically a sacrifice play. Now, there were black men on that field. Okay, for some reason, American history seems to forget that shit, huh? But it's true. Over 5,000 blacks fought in the Revolutionary War up in Massachusetts. Matter of fact, a lot of them came from my hometown of Marblehead. Okay, because they were involved in Navy. They were with the Navy. A lot of them were involved in the naval operations in my hometown of Marblehead, Massachusetts, birthplace of the American Navy. So, somebody fired a shot. I think about 8 Americans were killed. Of course, they weren't Americans then, they were colonialists. And the British Army, 700 of them moved forward. Now, what happened was the British Army gets to the Concord Bridge. And it's a small bridge. I've actually stood there and looked at it. And it's amazing to see that bridge because you think, oh my God, it's such a small bridge. But one good thing about it was that the British had to cross over it, and so a lot of them couldn't cross over at one time. But on the other side of the bridge were 2,000 colonialists, sons of liberty, who had been waiting for the day to shoot these assholes, who had been trying to steal their livelihoods the whole time. Taxation steals livelihoods. We've had our livelihood stolen for 110 years. And it's time that it stopped. And so those patriots, sons of liberty, men with guns, stood up against the 700 British soldiers, and they resolved that they weren't crossing that bridge. They weren't crossing the North Bridge, the old North Bridge at Concord. That was the last time our nation made a resolve that important. We got to do it again. I'm sorry, but we have to do it again. We have to repeat this shit because we forgot. And we've allowed ourselves to be told something else. We've allowed ourselves to be lied to over and over and over and over and over again till they're blue in the face lying to us. And so, I present to you the 10-year Concord Resolves. This is to occur on April 1st, 2025. With a resolution from a hopeful Republican Congress and Senate and a Republican president. Okay, now, I know this is ridiculous. Okay, why would the federal government decide to do what the people wanted? I mean, really, We're only we the people. We're never mentioned anywhere, are we? Are we mentioned in the Declaration of Independence? Are we mentioned in the Constitution? Who-wee? We're the people with the guns. Hello? We're the people with the guns, okay? Just to let you know. You guys are always trying to take the Second Amendment away from us all the time because you know we have the guns. Your fear is that we're going to use them. My attempt is us for not to have to use them. American action without firing a shot. But we're playing a chess game. And it's time to move 10 the 10 million militia onto the chessboard to get, hopefully, a Republican Congress, a Republican Senate, and a Republican president in the White House to make these changes. And we have to be adamant about them. Number one, repeal the 16th and 17th Amendments to the Constitution. Terminate the Justice Department, which we now have been proven to see that it doesn't exist. We don't need a Justice Department. We haven't had a Justice Department since I can't remember. And we want a balanced budget amendment passed. The federal government must always be balanced. Second resolve, no obedience or tax to the federal government until it returns to honoring the 5th and the 14th Amendments of due process and equal protection under the law, and repeals all laws that violate this Constitution. The Democrats, every time they get in office and have a majority, they pass bills to spend money on their voters all the time. Spend money on their states. Let their states steal money. Okay, the blue states stole $42 billion of COVID money and used it for ACT or DCT, whatever the shit is. Pay no obedience or tax to the federal government until it returns the honoring the 5th and 14th Amendment of due process. Remember, there's laws to keep government in control, not us. It's our government. They work for us. It's not the other way around. Too many Americans seem to have forgot that. That's what I'm trying to wake you the F up. Third resolve. All politicians found colluding with the Clinton, Bush, Biden, and Obama regimes to violate the Constitution and commit acts of corruption will resign and forfeit all lands, titles, and assets to be sold with the proceeds applied to the national debt. You're all going to become poor. We've had enough. It's time to pay the piper. Sorry, but that's the way it is. You people stole the money, we're getting it back. Okay, and we can tell when you stole the money. They just showed this thing. Biden got a check for $200,000 from his brother, and the brother got $200,000 from some federal government that loaned him the money, even though he didn't have money. It's just, it's so bullshit. But they think they can get away with it. Their day's coming. The question is, will their day come while we're breathing? I sure as shit hope so. I sure as shit hope so. Fourth resolve. Reduce federal taxes to 2% of earned income. 2% flat tax. I did a radio show I was saying earlier, and in the show I was commenting about the fact that Americans spend $875 billion having their taxes done. The American people spend $875 billion to have their taxes done. That was in 2010. What the hell do you think it is now? I think it's about $1.4 trillion. Why would we spend $1.4 trillion filling out tax forms? Is that not the dumbest thing you've ever heard of in your life? That's what they do. That's what the Congress does. They come up with new tax laws. They're always coming up with new ways and shit to tax you. I should know because I taught federal taxation at Jones College. The book was this thick. The book was ridiculous. I didn't teach from the book. I just took major items out and went through it because nobody understands that shit. And it's made to not be understood. I just went through and was doing my 2022 taxes. And I thought to myself, somebody's lost their freaking mind. But the politicians found colluding with the Clinton, Bush, Biden, Obama regimes. And now I don't have Trump down here because we know that Trump didn't violate the Constitution. We know that Trump did not commit acts of corruption, okay? But he was attacked for doing stuff he never did. You see, the Democrats have to say, well, yeah, we've committed all these crimes, but so did Trump. Even though Trump didn't, we're going to make you believe he did. And that's why we're going to indict him all sorts of shit until you bow down to us and go,
Okay, all right, Trump's guilty.
fourth resolve, reduce federal taxes to 2% of earned income. Okay, here's how it works. You get your bank statement at the end of the year. All the banks will have a federal form that they're going to fill out. Okay, and what it's going to be is it's a federal form that each bank in the country is going to be required to send out to people. Okay, which means that so much of the tax law will be so gone. But what they'll do is they're going to take all the money that came into your account and all the money that you paid out of your account, and whatever that net is, that's your net gain for the year, and that's what you pay 2% on. The bank's just going to automatically pull out a report that's going to say total receipts, total disbursements, okay? And that's it. Now, granted, there should be a secondary disbursement, which would be funds withdrawn for personal use, okay? So anything that you withdraw, all your bank withdrawals won't count. But all your payments for your mortgage, for your taxes, for your insurance, for whatever, all that gets deducted. But anything that you withdraw, any bank withdrawals, any checks that you cash, those aren't deducted, because that's not fair, because it's just money you've taken out of the bank. We can't deduct that. We can't take that away from your taxes. We have to be honest about this. Reduce interest rates to 2% of borrowed monies. We got this done in the time of Obama with the mortgage issue. Got that straightened out. I was the first one to go for the 2%. They agreed, and they evidently decided to give it to everybody. Adjust interest on school loans to 2%. Okay, I came across a government corrupted program. It's called the Student Loan Program. Now, I know now. Remember, what is the first rule of being a Democrat? What is the first rule of being a Democrat? Okay, what's the first rule? Get rid of the evidence. Democrats commit crimes all the time. Get rid of the evidence. Okay, who's the queen princess of getting rid of the evidence? Hillary Rodham Clinton. She got rid of the evidence. Everybody went, okay. And she's not in jail now. She never got arrested. Well, the school loan program is a scam. The student loan program is a scam. Now, why would Joe Biden want to take the $1.4 trillion asset, the biggest asset the United States has, and just make it go away? Why would he forgive $1.4 trillion? Because his job is to destroy the country. That's what Obama told him to do. And that's what he's been doing. Has he ever done anything that was in favor of America? Of course not. This guy should be dragged out of that White House right now. And Kamala, get her out too. Oh, wait a minute. If that happens, Jim Jordan would be president of the United States. No wonder he can't be speaker. Ha! I wonder if the Democrats believe that may happen. I bet you they probably had a little discussion with Kevin McCarthy. Go, hey, Kevin, it was okay for you to be speaker because we knew you're one of us. But that Jim Jordan, he gonna put us away in jail. So the scam with the school loans. I found this out. Why? Because I have never paid towards my school loans. Never paid once. Okay? And now I get the notification that because of the Congress, we have to pay it, which is amazing. It's not because the Congress we have to pay it. We took the loans out. But the way they write this line shit. Because of a rule in Congress, now we have to pay it. Oh, I hate Congress. They making me pay my loan. So I start reading up on Nelnet. Matter of fact, one of the women that does work for me, she's got a student loan, and it's with Nelnet. I already did a show on Nelnet. I already exposed this stuff out. Okay, Nelnet is a criminal fascist organization. It's a corporate scam program tied with the Democrats. And what they do is they manage 1/2 of the $1.4 trillion U.S. debt. They manage it, and they get 6.4% interest on the money. Now, I don't know how much of that money they then pay the federal government, if they pay them anything, okay, to pay down the loans, because that 1.4 trillion should be going down over time. But the money that they're making on this deal, they're using for some other shit, like Green New Deal. What? Oh yeah. Look up Nelnet, Nelnet. Look them up online and go research them. You'll find that the top 15 executives at Nelnet make over $1.2, $1.3 million a year in salary. Very wealthy people in Nebraska. It's one organization in Nebraska. Okay. And the deal is, and this is what fascism is. Fascism is when corporate entities merge with the Nazi or fascist entity in government, the dictatorial government, to work for the same goals. So my thought is, hey, you know what? 2%. I'm only paying 2%. I already sent them the letter. I already let them know, hey, you guys are trying to collect $32,000 from me, but you know what? I only really owe like 22, because 2% on that loan is about $2,000, not 14 grand or whatever you want from me. So I'm not paying it. Okay, I haven't paid it once, so I can go ahead under offer an acceptance and say I never accepted the loan. Sure, I took the money, but I didn't take the criminal activity along with it, and it is criminal. I want to know what they're doing with that money. I kind of know, because you can see the Green New Deal shit. That's what they support. And so what it is the government tells these, you always hear about these non-governmental, these NGOs, non-governmental operations. Okay, they're all over the country. This is how they spread out our money and spend it and kick it back and all sorts of shit. Our government is so corrupt. I don't even know why they've kept us alive, except they need us for taxes. I think that's why we're alive, because they know that if we were dead, they wouldn't have tax money to spend. Okay, Obama was the first one to really go, fuck America, I'm adding $2 trillion to your bill. Yeah, just think, in 2020, Bill Clinton ran the federal government on $1.7 trillion. And then just 15 years later, Barack Obama ran it on $3.4 trillion. In other words, Obama increased government by 100%. And of course, if you look at, a lot of it is with HUD, Health and Human Services, because that's the Democrat organizations that they use to funnel trillions of dollars, with like 2% going to the American people that they're trying to help, and the rest goes into their pockets. It's all a big scam. Okay, I really wish someone, and I know the guy in mind, he's coming towards my realm, but I want him to go towards the realm I'd like to see him go to. I can't get him to respond to me, but I think he would be perfect in exposing all this shit. Okay, he's an accounting guru like I am, and he's also a CPA, and he's also a pro se litigant. I mean, this guy, he's younger than me, so he's the guy to put out there to fight. I'm an old guy. I'm Obi-Wan Coyote. I came down from the mountain because you all need help. That's what we're doing. So, school loans, 2%. And the way it works is the government, okay, now remember, with the 2% income tax, automated, the statement comes from the bank, and basically the bank files your taxes for you once you approve it, okay, to make sure everything's right. They file it, it's done. So why do we need the IRS? Why do we need to spend $1.4 trillion or $1.3 trillion spending money, $1.3 trillion spent on filling out forms? What if that $1.3 trillion was able to spend on education, on manufacturing, on distribution, on homes, and a 2% mortgage? Can you imagine the prosperity in this country if the Americans had a 2% mortgage, interest rates were 2%, and school loans at 2%? The Democrats would say, "Oh, that's inflationary. You can't do that. You can't have taxes that low. It's inflationary." No, what's inflationary is Democrats spending $6 trillion on 3 bills in 2 years. That's what causes inflation. Democrats cause inflation, not low taxes, not low interest rates. No, because that money is, see, what happens is that money is going back into the community, it's going back into the country, it's going back into industry. It provides a source of funding to grow and build, okay? Remember, inflation is overcome through production. Okay, I'll give you a for instance. Okay, you're finding out that it costs you $1.20 to make a widget. Okay, and you're trying to sell the widget for $1.50. How do you get the $1.20, the cost down? By producing more efficiently. Okay, maybe you add a piece of equipment that allows you to produce it at 60 cents less. Productivity destroys inflation. Okay, now I was in business for 40 some odd years. I was at Xerox, and we used to do these forecasts, and we'd say, okay, inflation's going to be 5%. Okay, what's productivity? You can't just say inflation. You got to show productivity. You got to show that you're planning to be productive. Otherwise, what the hell does management has to do with you? Get the hell out of here if you don't know how to be productive. That's capitalism. That's free enterprise. That's entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship. You remember, this country, I can tell you right now, if let's say 1 million Americans with guns went to Washington, D.C. and rounded up all the politicians, both parties, round them up, and then you take them and you put them on boats, prison boats, or you send them to Gitmo. Okay, so you're sending 400 congressmen, 100 senators, and president. So let's say you're sending 200 Americans, not 200 Americans, you're sending 500 Americans to Gitmo. What happens to the country? The country continues to operate, right? What would happen to your life if government stopped? Okay, let's do a test. Let's say that government stopped right now, okay, at high noon, 12 o'clock. Government stopped. Well, TV still works. Video still works. My refrigerator still works. I'm still getting my gas and heating and everything. And America goes on without government. Government's purpose is to collect taxes. Ever hear of the ATF? Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms? Why don't they just get rid of the alcohol and tobacco tax? Get rid of it. Taxing alcohol and taxing tobacco saves the average person an awful lot of money. I mean, because that cost of drinking and cigarettes is going to go down. And as far as I know, the only insane lunatic who ever campaigned on getting rid of ATF and removing alcohol and tobacco taxes, because if there's no taxes, you don't need an ATF. If there's no taxes, you don't need an organization to make sure they're paid. That was me. Yeah, I was America First. Now, why did I want to eliminate taxes on alcohol and tobacco? That's the worst tax on people. Think of somebody who's unemployed and then they smoke cigarettes. Right now they're paying like what, $6, $7 a pack of cigarettes? How much of that is tax? Alcohol, much tax? I work for a wine company, and we pay about $5,000 a month in taxes to the state of Florida for bringing in alcohol. So we pay $60,000. One of our largest expenses, paying taxes on alcohol. Now, why do we pay taxes on alcohol to the states? Because when Prohibition ended, they had to have somebody else replace the organized crime people. And that was the states, the politicians. The politicians says, okay, we're going to get rid of the organized crime, and we're going to become organized crime. And so that's what happened there. All right. Now, what we're going to do is, by the way, Laura Loomer, she writes, former Republican congressional candidate Laura Loomer defended President Trump, giving a first-person account of what she heard from the former president. I was there tonight. President Trump said Hezbollah's sneak strategy was smart. I was there tonight. President Trump said Hezbollah's sneak strategy. Well, wait a minute. If you were there, but Andrew Romeo, the communication director of the DeSantis campaign, wasn't, unless he was, but I don't think he was, why is he reporting something that isn't true?
Really?
You mean the Andrew Romeo communication director is full of shit? Hi, Andrew, are you full of shit? Let us know. I was there tonight. President Trump said Hezbollah's sneak strategy was smart. He said they were smart enough to evade Israeli intelligence and have made their way across the U.S. border. Ms. Loomer wrote in an next post before telling the Florida governor to drop out of the 2024 race. I told him to drop out 2 months ago. I told him exactly what to do. Because he needed to bow out gracefully and intelligently so that he could be the #1 candidate in 2028. But of course, they don't pay attention to me. Republicans don't pay attention to me, and neither do Democrats. That's okay. President Trump continues to lead in the 538th GOP presidential primary. As of October 11, the average shows that former president with 58% nationally, leading second place DeSantis by 45.5 percentage points. This is a national one-on-one thing. But she was there, so she knows what he said. So why would the Democrats and the Republican rhinos say that Trump said something he didn't say? Why would they lie about it, huh?
Oh, lies.
Control. The global fascist empire wants to control us with lies. Okay, so I think we're done. We're just going to do a couple of things. We're going to introduce you to Hillary Clinton. We're going to play a little video of her. She thinks I and all the MAGA people should be reprogrammed. Fuck you, Hillary. You want to come reprogram me? Come to my house, okay? Then there's a guy named Jeffries.
Mr. Jeffries, he talks like this because...
You see, if he's here, that's what I can't stand about it. Vic's always going, ee. These people are dictators. Dictators talk with their hands. You ever see Trump talk with his hands? Trump's got his hands to his side, or he's got his hands on the lectern, because he was trained professionally how to do speeches. You're not supposed to use your hands. Okay. So I'm going to show you a couple of videos of Hakeem Jeffries making a total asshole out of himself. But what else would you expect? Okay. The Democrats are full of hate. The Democrats are full of shit. But, it's up to you to decide how much you want to keep paying. Huh? Want to keep paying $1.5 trillion a year or $1.4 trillion a year to fill up frickin' tax returns? Imagine. 1.4 Oh, Mike, there's all these jobs. Bullshit. They don't need to be working on this stuff. There's enough accounting jobs around that. Accounting is pretty simple, okay? It is, unless you're a simpleton. All right? Taxation, a flat tax, 2 lines automated on the computer. Hey, they've got this automated intelligence or asshole interrogation, whatever you want to call it. That's what they're using on the phones and stuff. So when you call up, they have this automated intelligence system that asks you 750 questions before it takes you to whoever you want to talk to. That's why you need to know the keyword. Customer service, customer service. Now, what's interesting is that's what I do all the time. As soon as that bitch thing opens up, I go, customer service, customer service, customer service. But now they change it. Some places you have to call, it's an advocate. I want to talk to an advocate. You know, they come up with different names so you can't get around the automated bullshit. All right, let me just, I think I've covered what I wanted to cover. The rest is going to be done. That I'm going to break into this show. It's going to be put down at the end. And it's basically Hakeem Jeffries. Okay. Hillary Rottweiler Clinton. And what's her name from the Congress from the Virgin Islands? We've got her giving Jim Jordan a bunch of rapt shit. You need to spend time watching Congress. You need to watch these assholes. You need to see what goes on. Okay? The Democrats purposely attacked Jim Jordan. Matter of fact, Jeffries, the idiot, was attacking when Jim Jordan announced he was going to run for the Speaker of the House. Right off the bat, Hakeem Jeffries came down and said, so, Jim Jordan is a MAGA extremist. He's a this and that. See, I talk with my hands so you know what I'm talking about, because I'm important. I'm a fucking idiot. Just ask Obama. I'm sorry, I'm so sick of these people. These are the people that steal money out of our pockets every day. None of them have a brain. They really are. Most of these people are damn stupid. Damn stupid. They're corrupt. We're wasting trillions of dollars. It's too late for my generation. Okay? My generation that was born, I think, between 1946 and 1956, the baby boomers. Yeah, I was born in 52. Okay? Things were pretty good until about 30 years ago when the Clintons took over with the help of the Chinese communists. So your war is against the Chinese communists and their partners of the Democrat and Republican Party. And either you're going to fight them or you're not. Okay, me, we don't know what's going to happen with me. I'm supposed to have open heart surgery in February. I haven't finally determined that yet because I had a God issue. For those that have been paying attention to my show, you know, I have a tendency to talk to God, ask him stuff. Like the day I did the show and I asked him for a plague on the Democrats, you know, and 2 days later, the smoke came down from Canada and covered all the Democratic areas. Okay, nobody connected the two, but it's possible that God was listening to me and did that. And then then they had the floods, and then of course they had the pestilence, which I refer to as the illegal immigrants that they brought in New York, that New York has to deal with. So these people have their issues. But I had this aortic aneurysm. I had been saved back in 2012 with the surgery that most people don't survive, but I survived. And now I got another one planned, and supposedly it's a 95% deal. Shouldn't have anything to worry about. But the historical CAT scans show that my aortic aneurysm grows about half a centimeter, I think it is, every year. So like in 2019, it was 5.7. In 2021, it was 5.8. And in 2022, it was 5.9. And it's like doorbell game over. You got to go to this guy in order to save your life because you'll be dead in about a year and a half. So I didn't really ask for a miracle, but I asked the guy upstairs to help me. We just had a CAT scan done in September just to see what it looks like, you know, how far it's grown and this and that. And the report came out that there was no change from the one that was taken in January of 2023. An aortic aneurysm dissection that's growing at a certain rate stops growing? Huh? Stops growing? There's no change? When I was talking to the surgeon about that, my first thought was, so you're telling me I don't need to have the surgery? And he says, well, you should have the surgery because there's still things with your aorta that could cause problems in the future. The problem is that if I go ahead and have the surgery, well, I'll be able to do this show and do my other mental stuff. I won't be able to swim for 6 months. I won't regain all my strength for 6 months. I went through this before. Open heart surgery takes so much out of you. And I'm trying to decide if it's actually going to be worth it for me to do it. Now that I know that it hasn't grown, I think the guy upstairs is helping me, and I have evidence to prove it. And the state people in New York, in Massachusetts, in Maryland, they saw the smoke. They didn't know that I had asked for a plague, but it got delivered. God is on our side. And when you listen to this Tucker Carlson interview with this black man, he's going to tell you he's a black man and he's free because he's a Christian and he's in America, the greatest country in the world. You see, he understands that as an American, he can do whatever the hell he wants to. Nobody can say shit to him. Why? Because his skin's black, or his skin's brown, or your skin's white, or your skin's whatever. The Democrats are losing their hold on their plantation slaves. I'm going to say that term because that's what they are. That they've always looked at it that way. Okay, we've done the history. Okay, and I'm just going to throw this out to you. But why was there a depression? Huh? Why was there a depression? I already did a show on this. You know, there was the government was being run by Republicans. It was a Republican president, Republican Congress, and for 10 years, they didn't spend one dime over what they took in. They actually were building a surplus to pay towards the debt that Woodrow Wilson ran up when he put us into World War I, which we didn't have to go into. I don't know why he put us in, but Democrats like to spend our money. That's the way they are. So America's doing fine. You have this black community that for 30 years, from 1900 to 1930. Now, why did it end in 1930? But they had this golden age. All you have to do is type into the internet, golden age of black entrepreneurship, and read all about it. It's true. You know, if blacks don't need Democrats, what are the Democrats going to do? And if the Republicans are running the government, we don't need Democrats. What are they going to do? The Democrats have always acted in their own interest. It was to their interest to shoot and kill Abraham Lincoln so they could get the Democrat that was his VP in and work on getting rid of Reconstruction and making sure blacks didn't benefit from the fact that the war was over and the Jim Crow laws and all that other shit they've been putting on people. So you have to sit down and have a talk with God. That's what I'm going to tell you. Sit down, have a talk with God, walk to the nearest mountain, go to the nearest sea, and have a nice talk with him and see what he tells you. Okay? I know what he's told me, and I know what he's done for me. And I believe the only reason why he keeps me alive is because I work for him. And my job is to help his people out. That's what my job is, to help his people out. And that's what I do. And that's why I do this. I don't have to do this. I could do something else, but it's in me. There's things about you can never change. You're either on the path of good or you're on the path of scumbag land. And there's enough scumbags in this country. We need more Americans to stand up, and now's the time. Now's the time. Now is the time. Get off your ass and get in the fight. You don't have to be shooting people. You're just going to stand up, okay? You got 20 people you know in your Republican Party or in your pro-American Libertarian Party or whatever the hell it is. Go down. Go down to the front of the judge's chambers or the county courthouse or the county sheriff's department and have your picture taken and give them a story. Americans start coming out of the woodwork to defend America. Oh, okay, so it's one county. There's 2,500 counties that did not vote for Joe Biden. 2,500. Why do you think the map that you've seen, why do you think it's all red? Except for these little sections of blue, and then, of course, New England. Okay, New England is, New England's gone. My son lives up in New England. He told me it's getting bad. But evidently, there's a great Israeli AR-15 that they're making that can handle subterranean shit and sand and everything. But he says that the community there is concerned about what the Democrats are doing. So we're going to have to fight. The question is, how are we going to fight? I prefer having the guns, but not having to use them. Okay? As Sun Tzu would say, win the battle before it begins. We're losing this battle, and it hasn't even begun. But we can turn this around so easy, okay? So easy. The Concord Resolves. Okay? In 1775, our founding fathers stood at the Concord Bridge and said, nope, you're not passing. Get the hell out of here. Matter of fact, while you're standing there, we're going to shoot you. And they started shooting the shit out of the British. They followed them all the way back to Boston. Okay? That was the resolve from Concord, and that's what I present to you. It's up to you, okay? I do this show because I have to, okay? I have to because the guy upstairs wants me to do my thing, and that's why he keeps me alive. And when he's done with me, who knows what's going to happen. But until that day, I'm me. You be you. I love you. Bye.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not exaggerating when I say that you have called before you two witnesses who pose a direct threat to people who oppose them. It's funny when people have to go through that. Exactly. This is unacceptable. I'm ready for it. I don't know if a lot of other people are. But just as it was unacceptable for Kevin McCarthy to provide 41,000 hours of sensitive security footage to a biased talking head in an effort to rewrite what happened on January 6th. This is a new Republican playbook, apparently. Risk American safety and security to score political points.
The gentlelady's words should be struck. We do not accuse witnesses of threatening others. That is out of line and outside the rules of this committee.
That, and I can have an opinion.
You don't get to determine what's struck down.
Well, you do get an opening statement, and it's
and
about,
so let
it's
me
about
finish.
over.
The committee will suspend.
We know this is because at the first hearing, the chairman claimed that big government and big tech colluded to shape and mold the narrative and suppress information and censor Americans. This is a false narrative. We're engaging in false narratives here, and we are going to tell the truth. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I would just point out the consent decree was in our report. We offered your staff also the opportunity to review the FTC letters. You have not come over to review those letters. Third, the idea that I believe both of these individuals who are getting ready to testify, I believe they're both Democrats. The idea that two journalists who happen to be Democrats—
Did you not give that offer at 8 o'clock last night?
I'm talking now. Your time was ended a few seconds
Neither of
ago.
us are in time.
I don't think they're here to help us politically. I think they're here to tell us the truth. And oh, by the way, the first FTC letter to Twitter after the first set of Twitter files, the very first question was, who are the journalists you're talking to? And you guys don't care. You don't care.
You don't want the 2011
people to see.
consent decree?
You don't want the American people to see what happened, the full video, transparency. You don't want that, and you don't want two journalists who have been named personally by the Biden administration, FTC, in a letter.
The Biden administration
And you're saying
is
they're
not
here
the
to help us?
FTC.
They're here to tell their story. And frankly, I think they're brave individuals for being willing to come after they've been named in a letter from the Biden FTC.
Is this your question, Tom, now?
No, I'm responding to your ridiculous statements you made in your opening statement.
Okay, well, let's get on with it.
Oh, now we want to get on with it. So you can
did.
say all the things you want. And I
I
point out
did in
the
my
facts.
opening statement,
I
as
point
well
out
as
all
you
the
had an
facts.
opening statement. You
chair-
said what you needed to say in your opening statement, and I, as the ranking member, have
Without
used my
objection,
time.
all other opening statements will be included in the record. We will introduce today's witness, Matt Taibbi. He's a journalist and author. He's one of the authors of the Twitter Files, previously worked for Rolling Stone, that right-wing publication, Rolling Stone, where so many Republicans work at. He's also written several books about American politics and culture. And of course, as I pointed out, as the Wall Street Journal pointed out yesterday on the front page, was named by the FTC. Michael Schellenberger is also a journalist, author, and one of the authors of the Twitter Files. He's also co-founded several nonprofits, including Breakthrough Institute, Environmental Progress, and the California.
And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? You know, because at some point, you know, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
Have you heard anything from the Republican side, any members over the last couple of days that have come to you guys calling for a bipartisan compromise or looking to work with you on that?
There have been ongoing informal conversations that have been undertaken over the last few days. I think there's a possibility those can accelerate now that Jim Jordan clearly does not have the votes to be Speaker, for good reason. Jim Jordan is the poster child for MAGA extremism. He is a clear and present danger to our democracy. There are many good men and women on the Republican side of the aisle who are qualified to be the Speaker of the House of Representatives. There is no circumstance where Jim Jordan is one of them.